In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the S.C.A.L.E framework, the only system that you need to consistently grow your revenue without burning out or wasting thousands of dollars on paid ads. By the end of this video, you're going to have a clear step-by-step process to scaling that works whether you're at 5K months or 50K months. I'm Mehdi, and I've used this exact framework to scale my coaching business to over $4 million and used it to help my clients scale to multiple 6 and 7 figures, all without working 12-hour days or spending thousands of dollars on paid ads. So let's dive in. All right, so I'm very excited to break down the S.C.A.L.E framework. Now it consists of 5 parts. And the reason I'm so excited to break down the S.C.A.L.E framework is because number one, I haven't heard anyone else talk about this just yet. And not just that, but it's the exact framework that took me to over $100,000 months. So first off, let's start with some proof. So here's what 1 month used to look like. You know, some months I'd average 5K, as you can kind of previously see. And then it was about 16,000 pounds, sometimes 20,000 pounds, which is around like 25, 30,000 US dollars. And it fucking sucked. And there's a number of reasons why it sucked. Because when you're kind of stuck at the 10 to 20K a month mark, financially, you're doing okay, right? You've got money to go out. You know, things that used to be expensive are no longer expensive, but you still are kind of capped. And it's almost like you're in the cycle where if you don't grind relentlessly, you know, your income just kind of stays stuck at the same level, which really, really sucks. So I'm guessing that's why most of you want to scale your businesses, because you want to have a business that works for you versus the other way around, right? And when I first tried to scale my business, I always believed that if I just double down the amount of effort that I put in, that I'll make more money. And that just wasn't the case, right? Until I learned how to scale my business effectively using these 5 different systems that I'm about to show you, that if you implement, you will make significantly more money, right? But when I implemented it, this is exactly what happened. With literally the same amount of time in the day, in fact, even less in some occasions, with the same amount of leads, even less in some occasions, I was able to go out there and generate over 85,000 pound months, which just to convert over to the US dollars is about 108,000 US dollars in a month. And that's just on Stripe. That's not including wires and other payment processes that I use. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the first part of the S.C.A.L.E framework is definitely setting up efficient systems. Now, I cannot stress how bad I was at setting up systems. I was that guy that hated systems. I just preferred to do everything manually because it felt normal to me, right? And setting up systems and doing all that complicated shit kind of scared the crap out of me, which is why I kind of opted out from doing it for a very long time, right? But the 3 core systems that you want to set up to really systemize the most time-consuming aspects of your business is client acquisition, which you're going to use funnels for, which I'll show you in a second, client delivery, and we use Notion for that, and client retention. Because understand one thing, the reason that most of us believe, the reason that I believe that I needed to grind harder or spend twice the amount of time and effort in my business is because that's what got me to my first 10K month. It's just putting in more hours, putting in more grind, and then making more sales as a result. And I thought that that same framework would be what would get me to 50 or 100K months, and it just clearly wasn't the case, right? It was actually removing myself from things that were consuming most of my time. Now, as a business owner, if you look at, you know, your average tasks, regardless of what niche and what industry you're in, where does most of your time go? It goes on one of these 3 or 4 things, right? First one is traffic, lead generation, finding new clients. The second one is conversions. And the third one is delivering your clients. And the fourth one is retaining your clients, right? So if this is where most of your time is going, the first step to definitely scaling your business is to set up efficient systems that give you back more of your time, because you're going to use that time that you've now bought back to then focus on doing other things that are going to help you to scale your business. And it's very interesting because I read a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport, and it did a study on the most successful Fortune 500 CEOs. And the study basically found the fact that these Fortune 500 CEOs, people like Jeff Bezos, who owns now a $1 trillion company, Amazon, he doesn't get paid to do hard work. He gets paid to do less work, but make very small, important decisions that has an impact on the overall growth of the company. And that's how you need to operate with your business if you want to scale your business to a very high level. So the question is, well, how do you do that? Well, number one is client acquisition. So we started to use more funnels, okay? So before, I would try to do most of the pre-selling myself. I would try to get on the phone, spend hours on the phone trying to convince prospects that they need to buy my program and buy my service, right? Which was very, very time consuming because you sit there, you objection handle, you schedule countless follow-up calls, and that is a very time consuming aspect of your business. The question is, how do you get rid of that? Well, for me personally, I started building out pre-selling inside my funnels. Rather than going out there and spending hours a month or tens of hours a month on the phone to prospects, trying to convince them as to why they should purchase and buy. Instead, I put that same effort and energy into building better pre-selling processes, right? And if you haven't watched my video on the VSL, you definitely want to go check that out because that will explain to you that whole in-depth pre-indoctrination sequence that we use. But essentially, I built out like a pre-indoctrination process so that by the time someone does book in a call, they're going to go through 24 to 72 hours worth of content, client testimonials, or strategically, finely crafted touch points that's essentially going to make them convert a lot quicker with less resistance, less objections, and in far less time. And that's an example of an efficient system. Let me break it down a little bit further. So if, for example, this new phone brand called iPair, okay, it's not iPhone, iPair, comes out with a brand new phone and it's in competition with Apple and no one's ever heard of them. And all they do is they, run some traffic and get a bunch of people in a store, and then they try to convince them inside of the store as to why their phone is the better phone than iPhone. They're gonna have a very, very fucking hard time. Now, if instead of all that 5 or 10 hours that they would have spent across their workers trying to convince people in the store, if they set up systems beforehand where they could send them an email with an entire video demo side by side with an iPhone explaining all the flaws of an iPhone and why this new phone is significantly much better. And then they gave them like a free demo on using the phone or something along those lines. And only then they tried to offer them the phone in store. How much higher would their conversions be? Massively, right? And that's an example of creating a pre-selling system. Now for your business, you can make it something as simple as a video presentation, client interviews, doing things where you create leverage, meaning you're doing the work once, but you're getting paid for it over and over and over again. So for example, I'll give you one more, on the subject of client acquisition and just improving your funnel to make it more efficient is I like to spend my time on high leverage activities. What does that mean? I would rather spend an hour sitting down with one of my clients and doing a client interview, asking them a line of questions such as, hey, why did you not trust us? What was your biggest holdup? What problems were you experiencing before you met us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And in this client interview, I would really dig deep and I would make sure I asked them about every single objection that they had that someone else might have before they buy from us. So now, once I've collected that client interview that only took me an hour to do, that is a piece of content that I can now install inside of my funnel and use that over and over and over and over again, which I have done, and it's worked exceptionally well, right? I have YouTube videos with like 200-300 views that are client interviews that have generated me an easy 6 figures, right? Imagine creating a video that only has 200 to 300 views, but generates you over 6 figures. Would you be upset at that? Absolutely the fuck not. So having videos like that inside of your funnel can make a massive, massive impact. Anyways, that's an example of systemizing client acquisition and just making the process far more efficient. Now, moving on, as far as client delivery goes, when I first started trying to scale my business, it was very, very tough because I found myself constantly juggling between the sales and the marketing and then delivering clients and making sure that they got results, right? Now, at the end, I will talk to you a little bit more about hiring team members, but one of the things that made it significantly easier is creating a system for the clients to use, right? Imagine for a second, you have to, as you grow your business, what does that mean? It means more clients. Imagine you have to note down every single thing about your clients. Imagine you have to, remember every single little detail while still trying to get more clients, while still, trying to close and convert more sales. It's overwhelming, and unless you have a good system in place, it's never gonna work, right? So I wanna kind of take you behind the scenes and show you one of the systems that we use for our clients that you definitely wanna build out. So here's an example and a list of all of our clients. Now, I have blurred this out because for client confidentiality purposes. And if we just click on one of these clients' names, it opens up a tab like this. So Obviously now we have head coaches that work with us and help with client success and client, delivery and fulfillment to make sure the clients are very, very, very well looked after. But every client has a personal coaching portal, and you can create this inside of Notion, right? Where you have core notes from their start of coaching day, what their offer is, what their location is, what their starting situation is, what their desired situation is, what their why is, just a number of very, very important details. And then what we have personally is when you click inside of the personal coaching portal, it has links to other resources that your clients can access. So rather than them saying, hey, I would like to book in my next call, and you now have to manually discuss and arrange times, they can pretty much just click a link and just book themselves in, right? And as far as like resources for your clients, rather than you having to constantly email resources over to your clients, you now have a centralized coaching portal where they can just pretty much access them on the fly. Again, saving you time, saving them time, making the coaching process far more efficient and far more valuable for them. Now, for us personally, we also have like a board view with action steps. So we have 2 sections, right? In progress and complete, so that we can have a very high level overview of any of our clients at any given time inside of our business to see, okay, well, John, he started with us on the 12th of November. Where is John at with his business? Has he generated at least $5,000 cash collected yet? No. Okay, why is that? What tasks is he stuck with? How can we help him? And it just gives you a better high level bird's eye view of everything that's going on, right? And that's another secret to scaling your business. If you can't see a bird's eye view of what's going on at all times, chances are the process isn't systemized. You are missing something that's going to hold you back from ultimately scaling and growing. So that's a very, very important thing to keep in mind. Now, bear in mind, we do have like an updated version of this where we have links. So personally, between me and you, we use AI software called Fathom, which allows us to record every single one of our Zoom meetings and transcribe them on the go. So it makes it extremely easy for us to, again, not just see, where the clients are at, but zoom in even further and see, okay, what specifically was said on the call? How do they react to it? What do they need moving forwards? Is there anything else that we can do to help them grow and get to the transformation that they've been wanting to get to a lot quicker, right? So this is what I mean by systemizing your coaching and delivery process. You need to, again, have a high level overview because scale means more clients in a lot of cases. And unless you have the right systems to track current client fulfillment, you're going to be left with a lot of unhappy clients. And that is no way to scale a business. I know some people don't care about their client success. I don't personally believe in that because here's the thing that I've realized. When you focus on creating insanely good systems to help your clients get results, you naturally get more testimonials. And that's a really fucking good thing because now your business sells itself. You're going to get more referrals, more testimonials, and that is the best and highest leverage form of marketing material that you can collect. Testimonials, client interviews, case studies, okay? And then client retention as well. This is a massive one. And again, the same Notion system that we have built out, we again use for client retention because now we know that we've helped our clients hit a specific milestone or they're getting better results. So it's very easy for them to turn around to us and say, hey, I'm very happy with the business. I want to stay on. Or it's very easy for us to say, okay, well, Larissa has hit over a $60,000 milestone within just 3 months of working with us. We have a mastermind coming up and we can now retain this client by inviting them down to a mastermind event that we're hosting because everything that they signed up to achieve, they've now achieved. Would they be more than happy to come to another one of our offers? Absolutely. It's a good fit, right? So that's like the S side ticked off. These are like the most basic systems that you want to have set up. The next one is consistent lead flow, right? And this kind of goes without saying, but if you don't have a steady pipeline of qualified leads, you're never going to stop riding the revenue roller coaster. You're always going to have 1 month that seems amazing and it's like, this is the best month in the world. And then the following month is just not going to be great, right? So in a second, I want to share with you how I went from having inconsistent leads to having very, very, very consistent leads inside of my business. But before I do, I definitely want to bundle up these two. So consistent lead flow and automating your process. So as far as it goes with consistent lead flow, personally, I use a lot of Instagram cold outreach in my business. And I use content on Instagram predominantly. Now, obviously I'm doing a little bit more YouTube, but as far as like consistent leads go, the one method that allows me to produce consistent leads in my business is, again, tracking everything. And I cannot stress or explain how important it is to track everything. So I'll give you 2 examples. Now, for Instagram, I have built out a tracking system that looks something like this. Now, I know it looks super complicated, but I promise you it's not. Let me break it down with you step by step. So the first thing that I want to know is the exact date. What date is it? So that if I have a good or bad day in the business, or a good or bad week in the business, I can pinpoint it down to exactly where it's at. The second thing I want to know is, what is my best performing platform? So again, I use Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and then I obviously have inbound, right? And for myself, I do a lot of outreach. Now, I don't personally do the outreach myself. I now have appointment setters, which I've delegated this role to. But when I first started in my business, I was doing cold outreach as my main source of traffic. And I still do till this day. I have generated over $4 million with it. Some people have their opinions on it. You can let me know in the comments below. But I will tell you from experience, like, cold outreach, when done correctly, is extremely effective and extremely profitable. Most people just suck at it and don't do it correctly, right? Or they don't track it. So when we do a specific amount of outreach in the business, I want to know specifically, well, from the amount of outreach that was done, how many calls are booked, right? And then more importantly, how many follow-up messages are sent every day. So it gives me a high-level overview, and it gives me predictable numbers. So I know, okay, well, if we did 32 outreach on Instagram and we booked 10 calls from that, then our outreach to call book percentage is 30%, which allows me to now have predictability to understand, okay, well, if this is what's allowing us to average about 10 calls a day, then this is what we need to continue to do, right? Or, on this day, if we had 10 booked calls, but the other day we had 2 booked calls, what was the biggest difference, right? What was the difference maker, and why did it kind of suck on that specific day? So it really allows you to figure out and focus on what the biggest bottleneck is inside of your business. Because I'll tell you what, when it comes to scaling your business, the most important thing that you're always doing is you're looking for the bottleneck. Week to week, as a business owner, as someone that generates consistently 7 figures every single year inside of my business, I will tell you from experience, the one thing I'm always doing every single week is overlooking what is working and what's not. And I don't make decisions based off emotion. The number one reason why I used to have inconsistent leads is because I wouldn't track, right? As simple as that. I wouldn't track my numbers. I wouldn't track anything. And as a result, I'd sit there and be like, oh, we're having a shit month. And it puts you in like this emotional roller coaster of just having worse and worse months. Versus now in my business, like, I make decisions all based off data. So it's like, okay, well, we're having a shit month. Let's figure out why. Well, outreach on this day was lower than outreach on that day. Follow-up messages were significantly higher on the day that we did do well compared to today. So the number one problem that we've isolated is this. If we just do more of this, then we will make more money in the business. And this is how you want to start to operate as a business owner. And it takes the process of scaling, and it just makes it so much easier for you to grow your business, right? So moving on, like, this is a system that I use. By the way, if you do want this tracker, you can just go to the description below. I'm going to link a lot of the resources from this video. And if you want us to build a customized one, again, like, we've built customized tracking systems for our clients. Obviously a lot more high level than the one that you're looking at. This one is a little bit outdated, but essentially, if you do want us to build it out, again, you can book a call below, and I'm more than happy to help you with that. But as far as lead flow, again, I use mainly appointment setters for that. The second system for, lead flow is content, right? And I think this is one of the things that I found most challenging to get into. You and I both know, as business owners in 2024, short form content is king, right? Or content in general is king, because we are in a massive trust recession where you can't just rely on, one and done VSLs or just a direct response ad to build enough trust to get you consistent clients. And the people, your competition that is creating content, is going to generate more trust and is going to steal the majority of the market share from you if you don't start creating content. So when I first realized this, I said, fuck, I don't have a lot of time on my hands. How am I going to ever create content? And it was all over the place, right? I didn't have any systems in place for creating content. So what I'd often do is go out there and just start trying to find ideas, save them to my Instagram. And then once I'd save them, I would sit there in my notes and try to, watch the video and try writing out. And I just thought to myself, I don't want to do this. This is extremely time consuming and I cannot figure it out, right? So what I did is I went out there and I spent over $10,000 in coaching, which is the easiest way to go out there and fast track your learning curve. Find someone that knows something better than you do, pay them, figure out what it is that they know that you don't, and then change that about yourself or your business to get the result that you want, right? So naturally I did that. And because of me delaying that process, I spent 7 months like creating zero content. And it sucked because every day I'd go on Instagram and I'd see people far less, experienced than me in a certain field get far more clients. And it really sucked until I built out the system, which I'm about to take you behind the scenes and show you, right? So now, when it comes to creating content, I have several systems in place. So I'll give you an example. Here's my content creation platform for YouTube, right? So I have essentially a list of archived ideas that will never see the light of day. I have a list of ideas that I've basically swiped, and now everything goes in a very clean sequential order, from idea to scripting to film to edit to post, and then stuff that has been posted. And then now when it comes to hiring an editor to pretty much edit my videos, I can just pretty much give them access to this Notion workspace that I've created, and they can take a look at the script that I'm working on. For example, how to double your revenue without more leads. And they'll have a full in-depth breakdown with all the resources. Again, they won't chase me for the resources. They won't ask me for videos. I don't have to sift and look through everything. It's all in one organized central place. And it also makes it easier for you to plan your day-to-day, because now you're no longer sitting there and thinking to yourself, well, I need to go out there and create 10 videos today. It's not really a tangible goal. It's like, okay, today I will come up with 10 good ideas, and that's ticked off. Now that I have 10 good ideas, I will take 5 of those ideas and turn them into scripts for my YouTube channel or my Instagram Instagram platform. And then out of those 5 that I've scripted, I will film 3 today. And then out of those, I have now sent them to the editor. The editor has given me a due by date of the 5th of December. And now I'll post this and distribute this content once a week. So now you systematically break down and systemize content. And doing that alone has allowed me to, very consistently create content on Instagram. And creating content on Instagram, even though I don't generate, viral videos, has generated me a lot of leads and clients. Because here's the thing, the massive shift that's occurring in 2024 to 2025 is you don't need to be a viral creator to make a lot of money from your content. I still generate $7,000 to $10,000 every single day, even still only generating 1,000 to 2,000 views per video, because it's about quality of clients. And because I sell high ticket offers as well, I don't need millions of views to make millions of dollars, if that makes sense. So now that we have that out the way, the next thing that you definitely want to be focusing on when it comes to the S.C.A.L.E framework is how to leverage high ticket offers. Wait, actually, before we move on to that, I want to cover one more thing when it comes to automating your systems, right? So now that we've covered systems for content creation and lead generation, you also want to have systems for sales, okay? By the way, if you do want me to break down any of these concepts in a separate video, just comment below and I'm more than happy to do it. So once my appointment setter, so my business, if I was to visually draw it out, I would love to. I'll just break it down, okay? But essentially, the way my business works is I have appointment setters that will go out there and do a certain number of cold outreach, and they will focus on generating at least 7 to 10 qualified book calls a day. From there, I have a sales closer that pretty much takes over and closes the deals. Now, if you are just doing this yourself and you don't have a team, you need a team, schedule a call below. But the point of the matter is you can still use this system yourself. And here's how. So you're gonna do a certain amount of outreach every day. Let's say you got 10 calls booked. The next thing that you wanna do is you wanna track what happened with the leads in your business. I can't stress how important this is. And it's interesting because I hit my first 50K mark without tracking. The business was going to shit between me and you, right? So what you wanna do, right, is always track the date of the first call, name of the lead, email, phone number, who the appointment setter is, if you have an appointment setter. If you don't, you know the drill. What your best lead source is, because your data is your best friend. I cannot stress this enough. I hated spreadsheets, I hated data. I was a straight A student, but I flunked maths. Maths was my most hated topic. I wanted nothing to do with numbers until I started tracking in my business. One of the best decisions I've ever made, right? So there's a number of factors that you need to track. So name of lead, email, phone number. You want to know like who the appointment setter is if you do use setters. The lead source. So this will really allow you to determine what your most popular lead source is, so that you know, based on data inside of your business, what you can double down on or what you should double down on, or like what's performing well and what's lacking, and then figure out why the thing that's lacking is lacking. So for example, let's say 90% of my leads are from Instagram and only 3% are on YouTube, but I'm still spending 3 hours a day creating YouTube content, then I need to understand why that is, right? And then the end result. Now, personally, you know, a couple of results that I like to track is whether the sales was closed, whether we got a deposit, whether, you know, there were follow-up, whether they were rescheduled, whether it was canceled by them, whether they're financially unqualified, whether they're unqualified for a different reason, whether they were no-show, lost, not a good fit, offers was made, they agreed to pay a deposit, or they're booked in for a follow-up session. And there's a specific number of reasons why I want to track these different things, because they all mean something different. If we're closing every lead, then it means that we have really good lead quality. Now it means that we need to probably introduce upsells or increase our prices because we're closing way too easily. If it's a deposit, I want to know why the person didn't pay in full. Is it that, you know, the lead quality isn't there? Is it that we're attracting financially unqualified people? Is it that they put a deposit down? You know, there's a number of factors that could be the case. If they're a follow-up, I want to know why. Is it because the salesperson has bad training and they couldn't close them in one call? If they rescheduled, I want to know why they're rescheduling. Chances are they don't really have a high level of positioning, right? They don't value us as the authority. If we're getting a lot of reschedules, it means people have no problem rescheduling. For example, you wouldn't go to a high-end restaurant that you have to be on a 5-week waiting list for and just reschedule, because you know the value of rescheduling. You might have to wait another 5 weeks. Making sense so far? Cool. If it was canceled by them, why? Is it because we're targeting the wrong leads? Is it something that we said in our VSL that didn't resonate with them? Are they financially unqualified? If so, why? And how are we attracting financially unqualified leads? So essentially, like, the results cause reaction, right? The results in your business are going to allow you to make really, 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 really good data-driven decisions in your business to figure out what the problem is and fix it. Like I said, business equals problem solving. That's how you make money, right? What was the close date? And again, this is very important. I always want to know what the close date is, and then compared to the date of the first call. So if the date of the first call was on, let's say, the 15th of October, I don't know if that's October or not, and the close date was the 2nd of December, why does our average close time take 3 months to close, right? Why does it take so long to get to a close? And what can we do to reduce that and speed up the process? So as you can see, like, there's a number of different things as to why, like, these tracking sheets are so important. I feel like it's the one thing that nobody really talks about that much in the industry that you want to stay on top of, right? I could talk about this forever in a whole separate video, but that's the general outline of it, right? And once you have the right, you know, automations and tracking systems in place, you are now ready to scale your business, right? The next step is you want to leverage high ticket offers, right? And this is something I cannot stress enough. Most coaches, most agency owners, the biggest problem with them scaling isn't necessarily always the leads. It isn't necessarily always the conversion rates. There's a lot of times where business owners come to me and they actually have a decent amount of leads. They actually have a decent close rate. But the problem is they're still not making the money that they want to be making because they're still selling a service hours, or they're still trying to sell like the product, right? But what you have to understand is, in order to make more money, it's a lot easier to make $100,000 a month selling 10 clients at $10,000. There's no secret, right? Versus going out there and selling 50 people at $2,000, right? But what's the difference? How do you go from charging $2,000 to $10,000 without losing clients? The secret is in selling based on outcomes, right? If you sell, like, the average agency owner or the average coach might say, oh, we'll give you like 12 sessions to help you get into the best shape of your life. Okay, cool. That's a product, that's a service that you're providing, and you're just selling time, right? But what you want to sell is an outcome, right? We guarantee to help you get into X shape by X time. Otherwise, this thing happens, right? You're selling like a guaranteed, or the closest thing to a guaranteed outcome for your clients. And I'll give you another example. A lot of agency owners I speak to, a lot of the time, clients that I've had, when I first worked with them, I said, sell me your product, right? And the agency owners would sit there and be like, yeah, all right, so, I sell done for you ads, and, I will create your content ideas and da-da-da, right? And I said, so this is your problem. Like, this is why people aren't necessarily buying from you. Your offer is boring and it sounds like everybody else's. And you're charging the same price point. There's nothing that really differentiates you. They said, well, what do you mean? I said, look, essentially, if you're going to go out there and just sell an offer at, $2,000 and we're going to do your ads and we're going to create your content for you, that's boring. You need to sell me an outcome, right? So when you and I first had a conversation, I told you that my goal is to get my YouTube channel to over 100,000 subscribers. By the way, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And what you should be doing is telling me that we will get you to 100,000 subscribers guaranteed by doing X thing for you, right? Now, obviously, my advice isn't go out there and make outrageous guarantees that you can't deliver on. But as an example, we will build you out the entire blueprint that you need to scale to 100,000 subscriber YouTube channel. We will give you all the ingredients that every single 100,000 subscriber YouTube channel has in place. And here's what it sounds like. Here's what it's going to include. Number one, we're going to handle this entire process for you so that this doesn't happen. So you're selling a transformation that someone's going to achieve versus the product. A product example is we will do your content for you. An outcome and transformation example is we're going to transform your YouTube channel to turn it into the type of channel that's going to attract 100,000 subscribers. Now, which one is more valuable? The second one is infinitely more valuable than the first one. Hope that makes a lot of sense. And that in turn can help you increase and justify your pricing, because doing my content for me and charging me $10,000, I could go hire any person from a third world country to go out there and do that. But if you're telling me that you're selling me an outcome, which is the fact that you're going to help me get to 100,000 subscriber channel, right? And fit the right criteria for everything that makes up 100K subscriber channel, such as the thumbnails, the titles, everything else, then that's a different ballgame, right? So essentially, that's how you create and leverage high ticket offers and sell outcomes, right? And then finally, you want to focus on expanding your team, right? Because the most important concept that you need to understand is when it comes to scaling your business, you are going to go fast if you go alone, but you're going to go far with a team, right? And it's very, 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 very difficult to scale by yourself in a business because you only have a limited number of hours in a day. Like, sure, you can go from doing 8-hour days to 15-hour days, but how consistently can you maintain that, right? Take it from someone that has done 15 to 18-hour days. You can do it for a short period of time, but it's not sustainable for a very long time, right? So the best way to, grow your business or scale it is by expanding your team, right? Because if I can only consistently put in 16-hour days for maybe a week and then get burnt out, then essentially the smartest option is me to put in 8-hour days and then hire another person that can put in 8-hour days, and now multiply my time, right? And I remember the minute I learned about this concept of leverage through hiring a team, I went out there and I hired a team member, and my business started to scale and grow very effectively, right? And for this aspect, you can use different platforms like onlinejobs.ph. That's good for hiring editors. It's good for hiring a virtual assistant, not really success coaches and, client or sales closers, because I'm sure you probably want someone from like a first world English speaking country, which is completely understandable. But onlinejobs.ph is the best for editors and virtual assistants. For sales closers, there are countless remote closing programs today that you can very easily go to that promise their closers, once they train them, once they train them and get them sharp in the closing field, to actually place them within a business, right? So they have countless Facebook groups, search up remote sales, and it can definitely very easily help you go out there and locate and have conversations with people that are looking for remote closing roles, right? And as far as client success managers, what I've personally found from experience is the best client success managers are probably going to be people that have gone through your program, because they've been on that same journey and they've understood it really well. And what happens oftentimes is because people have achieved such a great transformation with your program, they have the highest level of certainty in it, they've achieved the transformation, and they are typically passionate about the transformation that they've achieved and want to use it to help other people, right? So that's a really good place to look. And personally, I've also systemized this process as well when it comes to expanding the team, because the last thing that you want to do is you want to like overlook and constantly oversee everything that your team is doing. You want to make it a very easy and seamless process once you've hired someone, to constantly train them and make it very easy to hire someone again, because hiring someone is something that can take a lot of time if the person isn't trained up correctly, right? Now, even if you are going to look for extremely experienced people, they're still going to need to learn concepts about your company that's foreign to them, like your offer, like your process, because every business is different to the other one, right? So in my business, what I've created is I've created something called the 7-figure closer workspace. This is something that all my closers get access to. And essentially, they know that they can start here, right? So it's like a start here section, and they have their daily SOPs. I have sales trainings for them. So understanding our coaching program plus what we offer. So there's like an entire Loom video that breaks down everything that we offer to our coaching clients, understanding our target audience, and the different buyer types as well, right? Pre-call SOPs, buyer psychology, our sales scripts, objection handling resources, post-call SOP, your retainers, what to do with them, best sales books, and recorded sales calls that I've previously taken. So whenever I build a business, one thing I always aim to do, and even when I'm working with my clients and I'm helping them scale their businesses, I'll always get them to sit down and create assets in their business that make it very easy to duplicate what they do, right? Because I'll give you an example. If you was to hire someone like a sales closer tomorrow, yes, it's going to take 8 hours of maybe taking sales calls off your hand. Yes, it's going to make you a lot more money, but it's also going to come with the fact that you're probably going to have to train that person quite a lot on the different aspects of your offer, on your target audience, because who knows it better than you do, right? So what's the fastest way to systemize it? Well, if you are currently taking sales calls in your business right now, you should be recording every single sales call that you physically can get your hands on. And you should be doing it using Fathom. I'm not sponsored by Fathom in any way, shape, or form. I should be. But if you want to get it, there's a link in the bio, description. But the most important thing that you have to understand is when it comes to having the right closers in your business, they need to be able to use resources that you've created. So if you've recorded your sales calls on Fathom, they have an exact transcript, they can see and you can reference certain parts, and they have like a document, like a bundle of information that they can go out there and learn from when it comes to closing more deals and making more sales inside of your business. So I hope that's made a lot of sense. This is the S.C.A.L.E framework. This is by far one of the most comprehensive frameworks that I've used to help me scale my business in its entirety. If you want me to make any specific videos on any specific parts of it, do let me know. But if you have made it this far, congratulations on making it this far. I'll see you in the next video, and as always, subscribe.